If he could have a do-over, I think there's three things that Houston Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans would have done in 2024.
That would be Sarge. Yes, sir.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? You tuned into the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast and YouTube channel, Texas Tailgate Talk, all one word. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports at the Z at the end, because you know we do everything for the gram. All right, I hope that everybody had an excellent, outstanding time enjoying their holiday weekend, Memorial Day. I would like to, as a veteran of the United States Army, I definitely want to say that to all my brothers and sisters in arms who gave their lives and sacrifice for this country that we live in America, United States of America. My condolences goes out to the family members of those of my brothers and sisters in arms who gave their lives and sacrificed themselves for this country. I'm glad that Memorial Day is what it is. If you all ever get an opportunity to look up the history on how Memorial Day was started, I think you'll be very surprised. And I love the fact that we do have a Memorial Day so that we can give, show our love and support for those who sacrificed for everything that we have right now. This week on Wednesday and Friday, the Houston Texans will open up their OTAs to the media, and so I will have an opportunity to be out at NRG Stadium at the Methodist Training Center practice facility, and I will have live and up to the minute updates about what's going on, what I see during during OTAs, and then we have mini camp coming up. So for the next 3 weeks, we'll get an opportunity to see the Houston Texans back out on the field. Now, it won't be anything like training camp or how it is during the season, but what we will get an opportunity to see is, the majority of the veterans and the rookies coming together and just getting themselves prepared for training camp to start later on this summer. So I can't wait. I can't wait to get an opportunity to see, the players back out on the field. Hey, look, everybody loves football. We back to football, y'all. We back to football. And I'm so happy. You know what? It's crazy because it seems like the football season is getting longer and longer. And now it's starting to, cut in a little bit more into baseball season, which is something that I think that a lot of people need, a lot of people like, a lot of people want. And don't get me wrong, I like watching baseball, but baseball has nothing on football. And when we go through that dead period of waiting on training camp to start, you'll get an opportunity to see how much people really, really miss football. But I'm glad that the Houston Texans are about to start up their OTAs and their mini camps, and we get an opportunity, like I said, to see some of the players back out on the field. And so once again, make sure you are following me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. And I think I'm going to start a Texans Tailgate Talk Twitter page once Twitter can get themselves together. I know it's X. I know it's X. But once Twitter can get themselves together, then I think I'll start a page. There's too much going on right now with X, and I don't know what's going on with the lagging, with the notifications not coming through. The DM's not working. It's just a lot of stuff going on with X right now that we got to wait and get together. But I will be giving you all live and up to the minute updates, and make sure that you are subscribed to the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast and YouTube channel, because there will be some some exclusive stuff going up on the channel as well. All right, so last season, right? The Houston Texans finished the season at 10-7. They won the AFC South again. They won the wild card game again, and then they lost in the divisional round to the Kansas City Chiefs. And so when you go back and you look at that season, there was a lot of ups and downs for the Houston Texans. There was a lot of turmoil. There was a lot of adversity that they went through. They had some bright spots, but there was some times where you just look at the Houston Texans and you're saying to yourself, what's going on? What is going on? How are we going to fix this thing? And what I mean, I'm not saying how we, like me per se, but I'm talking about what the heck? If not we per se, but I'm talking about the Houston Texans. So hold on one second. Put that on there. All right. And so when you look back on that season, I think that DeMeco Ryans, the head coach of the Houston Texans, if he had an opportunity, there's three things I feel like he would have liked to have done over. And it's crazy because those three things all are on the offensive side of the ball, because we know that the Houston Texans had a top 10 defense last year. We know that despite some of the injuries that they sustained, like they had injuries to Azeez Al-Shaair, there was injuries to Will Anderson Jr., there was injuries to Jalen Petrie. They lost Jimmy Ward. Like, they lost some people on that defense, and they were still able to maintain, still able to that. The defense is one of the bright spots of the Houston Texans 2024 season. And so all these things that happened, these three things that I feel like DeMeco Ryans would, if he had an opportunity to do it over again, he would do it differently. Like, and these are just, listen, the thoughts, views, and opinions of Big Sarge and Big Sarge's alone. I have not talked to DeMeco Ryans about this. I have not talked to anybody in the Texans organization about this. And it's crazy that I have to put this type of disclaimer, even though I said I feel like, because some of you all like to run with the narrative and clip things up and say, oh, Sarge said. No, Sarge did not. Well, how do you know? Because I'm Sarge, damn it. That's how I know. I ain't say it. And don't try to act like I said it. Don't insinuate that I said it. So these are my thoughts, views, and opinions, okay? So I feel like that if DeMeco Ryans had an opportunity to do things over in 2024, I think there's three main things that he probably would take the opportunity to change. First thing, I think that he should have fired offensive line coach Chris Strausser during the season. If anybody knows DeMeco Ryans, DeMeco does not like to take anything away from the team. Whatever, the team's first. We don't have time. He doesn't have time for anything personal. He doesn't have time for anything outside chatter, noise. He does not like distractions when it comes to the team. So he is a team first guy. And I'm prefacing that to say that he doesn't want to cause any unnecessary or unjust disruptions amongst the team. He has that family first mentality, and that's how he thinks. So with that family first mentality, he has that I can't let anything else outside of what's going on football operated disrupt anything. So when I say that I feel like if he had a chance to do it over again, maybe he would have relieved former offensive line coach Chris Strausser of his duties. That's not how he operates. But hindsight is 2020, and if we're going to play Monday morning quarterback, I'm looking at, I'm saying, you have to let this guy go. You had to have, you had, especially if you knew that Cole Popovich, who is the current offensive line coach, if he was in line for the job, then go ahead and get things started early. Because I'm going to be honest with you, it seemed like not only had the players stopped listening to Chris Strausser, hell, it seemed like Chris Strausser stopped listening to himself. It looks like Chris Strausser knew. Let me tell you, there's a thing that a lot of people in the military, and I know that this happens in the Army a lot. My stepfather was like this. When they're getting ready to retire and they go to their last duty station and they know that they have they get to their last duty station, they may have 2 years left, 3 years left. And so they say, I'm retired on active duty, right? I'm on the I'm on the road. I'm on the road. When people here in the military hear, oh, he on the road, they know what that means. Retired on active duty. Hey, look, I ain't really here trying to do nothing else but serve my time, get my check, set up my benefits, retire from the Army, and move on. That's exactly how I feel Chris Strauss's mind was last year. He was retired on active duty. Like, he was there, he was present, and it looks like when he first started the job, he was trying his best, but I guess his best wasn't good enough because it wasn't. And you started to see how the offensive line has started to decimate, how the play started to be terrible, how the play started to be bad. And we know where the Houston Texans offensive line ended up at the end of the season. They were ranked towards the bottom half, if not the worst offensive line in the NFL. But I feel like if DeMeco Ryans would have fired Chris Strausser in the middle of the season, let Cole Popovich take over, because I've told you this on more than one occasion. We talked about it right here on the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast. We talked about it on the Texans Happy Hour. There was a lot of disruption and dismay inside of that Houston Texans offensive line room. Every time you hear DeMeco Ryans talk about one voice, what he's saying is there was too many voices in that offensive line room. And Chris Strausser dictated the scheme. Chris Strausser dictated the playing time, but Cole Popovich knew how to stop the delayed blitz and the stunts. The things that were killing the Houston Texans on offense, as far as the offensive line and protections and run schemes was concerned, those things that were happening, Cole Popovich had the answer. Chris Strausser still dictated everything. So if DeMeco Ryans would have fired Chris Strausser in the middle of the season and say, hey, look, we just gonna do what we just gonna take it from here, fellas. Hey, look, I can't have this guy in the room anymore. He's he's retired on active duty. He's just here. He's showing up to get, he getting free food. He getting Gatorade. He got, he getting he's getting a check. Like, he's here, but he's really not here. And so I feel like if DeMeco Ryans would have fired him in the middle of the season and let Cole Popovich take over from there, then maybe some things would have transpired just a little bit, right? And what I mean by transpired, I think that some of the things that we've seen as far as the offensive line inefficiencies would have been better. So what I mean by transpiring, like, it would have been better. It would have been better if, and like I said, hindsight is 20/20. We can sit here and play the if game all day. What do we always say? If, you know what? You can't even say that joke no more because it's politically incorrect. Y'all know what if. I'll say it this way. If and nuts were candy, if and butts were candy and nuts, the world would be a whole better place, right? There's another. Don't worry about it, Sarge. You ain't trying to get canceled. But I feel like if you let Chris Strausser go in the middle of the season and say, hey, Cole, this is going to be your time to prove to us that you should be the offensive line coach. We know where you came from. We know who you learned under. We know who you studied under. We know what you're capable of doing. Let's just go ahead and start this process. Let's just go ahead and start this interview process earlier and see what you have. And let's get Chris Strausser out the room, and then you could have made it one voice. And so when he keeps in that voice, I feel like DeMeco Ryans feels like it was his fault that there wasn't one voice in that offensive line room, and there's something that he could have done about it. Now, number two is almost the same, and I don't have to preface it because I've already prefaced it when the first thing that I said about firing Chris Strausser in the midseason and how DeMeco doesn't like to take on those type of distractions, but I feel like he should have fired Bobby Slowick during the season as well. And then you let Gerard Johnson, you let Gerard Johnson and you let Ben McDaniels and you let them two finish out the rest of the season along with getting with CJ. You already have the foundation of the playbook on what you want, but you let Bobby go in the middle of the season, which is easier said than done because DeMeco Ryans and Bobby Slowick are very good friends. Like they're very, very, very good friends. We know the history. They came from the San Francisco or 49ers organization together. They worked their way up through the ranks. Like they really know each other. They know each other's work ethic. They know, each other's mindset. DeMeco Ryans has DeMeco Ryans respects Bobby Slowick a lot. Bobby Slowick respects DeMeco Ryans a lot. They have a lot of respect for each other. But sometimes I'm gonna put it like this. There's people out there that I have a lot of respect for. There's people out there that I'm really cool with that I don't think that I could work with. Like there's people out there that I think are, as individuals, I think they're cool people. Like I think that they're cool people. I think they're good people. I can't work with them. I just can't. And I don't like to use the word can't because can't means cannot. And I know that I cannot work with certain people because our mindsets are different. Our work ethic is different. And then we're on two different planes going to two different places, even though it's going to be, we want the same destination. How about that? We want the same destination. We're just going about it in two different ways. And one way is an efficient way, and one way is an inefficient way. And so when I look at Bobby Slowick and when I look at DeMeco Ryans, I say to myself, these guys, they really like each other. They really have a respect for each other. But at the end of the day, DeMeco Ryans is the boss. And I don't want to say that it was personal that he kept Bobby around throughout last season. I'm not going to say that because I haven't gotten an opportunity to ask DeMeco Ryans that question. But I'm just going to speculate right here. And I think that their personal relationship is one of the reasons why Bobby Slowick was kept around so long. We talked about how inefficient the offensive line was. That falls under the offensive coordinator as well. And so DeMeco was like, hey, man, look, I'm going to give you an opportunity to get this thing together because you're the offensive coordinator. That means everything that's involved in the offense is your responsibility. I don't want to micromanage. I don't want to have to keep looking over your shoulder. I've given you this opportunity to be a offensive coordinator, to potentially be a head coach someday. And in year one, we both came in this thing together, not knowing what was going on. Your first time being an offense coordinator, my first time being a head coach, and we knocked this thing out of the park, right? We knocked this thing out of the park because we knew it was like everybody was pitching us fastballs. But as soon as somebody threw you a curve, Bobby, or as soon as somebody threw you a slider, all of a sudden you act like you forgot how to hit. And so the inefficiencies, and I keep using the word inefficient because they were inefficient. That's why I keep using that word so much, because the Houston Texans offense as a whole was inefficient. They did not get the job done. They were not getting the job done on an efficient level. And so when you look at Bobby Slowick and you say, hey, Bobby, this offense ain't working. Something ain't right. This thing ain't going right. You know how hard it is to watch a team that you cover not be able to score in the second half? And now, as a media personality who covers the team, if I'm looking at that, then I damn sure know that there's other people that makes decision at a higher, way higher than me, that says, oh, this thing ain't working. And it isn't working because the offense isn't working. And the offense isn't working because the offensive coordinator ain't doing his job. There's a lot of people out there that say, well, you give CJ Stroud a pass for having a sophomore slump, and you always want to blame everything on Bobby. That's not blaming everything on Bobby. And like we discussed on the Texas Happy Hour, I'm not saying that CJ played up to the same standards as he did in his rookie year, but hell, 60% of what went on in that Texans offense last year, I'll say 70% of what went on in that Texans offense, how bad it was because of Bobby Slowick. CJ can only run the plays that's being called. And even when they lost Stephon Diggs, and even when they were without Nico Collins, and even when they were without Tank Dell, the offense, just like Bobby, never made adjustments. We've talked about this before. I'll say it again. When I asked Bobby, why? And this was during a press conference. Bobby, why does the offense seem to stall in the second half? And he came and he said, well, it's not like, there's some secret stuff that you can use at halftime to get teams going. Most teams that you're playing against, they don't make a whole lot of adjustments at halftime, and so you just got to stick with the plan and stick what you're used to doing. And I'm saying to myself, Bobby, I watched too many times where other teams have made the adjustments and came out and played totally different than they did in the first half against you all. You're the only one that's not making the adjustments. You gotten to the point where these defensive players and these defensive coordinators knew everything that the Houston Texans were going to do. And so when that offense started to stall, I said, but I know DeMeco Ryans, and I know that he does not like the distraction. So I know that, like I said earlier, we wasn't going to fire Chris Strausser midseason, and he didn't fire Bobby Slowick, wasn't going to fire Bobby Slowick midseason. He let everything play itself out and then relieve those two of their duties after the season. But I think if he could have done it over, I think that he would have thought long and hard about keeping him around, because look at what happened with Bobby. So what could go bad without him? Trust the people around you. Trust the personnel around you. Hey, let's get this thing done. Hey, look, we know that we had to let Bobby go. Let's rally the troops. However this season's going to be, this is how it's going to be. But we have to do something to shake this thing up and make this thing look different. We're too lethargic on the offensive side of the ball. We're too slow on the offensive side of the ball. We're too how can I put this? We just look terrible on the offensive side of the ball. Let's shake some things up. Let's do something different. And I feel like if you'd have let Bobby Slowick go, especially after the Lions game, that should have told you everything that you needed to know and what Bobby Slowick had reached his ceiling. Hey, look, bro, you done capped out. Ain't nothing else you can do. We got one of the best teams, if not the best team at the time in the NFL, on the ropes. The defense is balling out. And you can't score in the second half. Too many times you're depending on Kaimi Fairbairn to get you out of games or get you out of situations. Too many times you're looking and you're saying, let's just play for the field goal because the offense can't get nothing going. Hey, we're just going to play for the field goal. Hey, let's just play for the field goal. No, play for the score. Play to score the football. Play to get the touchdown. Not to just, hey, let's get in field goal range. Let's get in field goal range. No. You can't be you can't be an offensive juggernaut just wanting to kick a field goal every time. You can't just depend on, hey, let's just control the clock and then kick a field goal. Why? Because sometimes your field goal kicker is not going to bail you out. For as good as Kaimi Fairbairn was last season, he still struggled. And there was times that they were depending on him and he didn't come through. You can go back and look at it yourself. Too many times. And so now I'm like, shit, I'd rather him miss the extra point than him miss the field goal. Oh, no, we're playing it too safe. We're playing it too safe. Hey, CJ, come here. Come here. Time out. CJ, come here. What are you seeing? Okay, so now what are you seeing? If this is what you're seeing, how do you think that we can adjust on this? All right, now, so cool. We adjusted on this. What do you think? All right, CJ, this is what we're going to do, right? I know we practiced this the whole season. I know that we practiced this the whole week. Hey, man, we got to make some adjustments because football is a game of adjustments. And they've adjusted to what we're doing. So let's adjust to their adjustments. That's what it's about, adjusting. Football is about adjusting from the first quarter till the fourth quarter. Always adjusting. That's what made Bill Belichick such a great NFL coach. Even though he was only on he really was only concerned about the defensive side of the ball. He let everybody else worry about the offense until he had to worry about the offense. All right, what's going on? Hold on. Hey, look, y'all go over there this defensive huddle. Let me sit here and watch what's going on. There's your problem right there. Offense come off the side of the offense come off the field. They go to the side. Bill Belichick said, "Hey, come here. Let me show y'all. This is exactly what the defense is doing. Let's adjust right here. If you do this, you can do this. And if you do this, you can do that." And then I got two of the smartest people on my staff right here that knows that, hey, Bill knows what he's talking about, but we also know how to improve on that as well. And I don't feel like the Houston Texans had that last season. I don't feel like the Houston Texans had coaches on their team who could make the necessary adjustments, or they could make the necessary adjustments, just the people wasn't listening. Chris Strausser wasn't listening to Cole Popovich. Bobby Slowick wasn't listening to a lot of other people. I don't know. So one, I feel like that if DeMeco Ryans had it to do all over again, he would fire Chris Strausser in the middle of the season. He would have fired Bobby Slowick in the middle of the season. But this third thing falls on you, DeMeco. The third thing falls on directly and squarely on the shoulders of DeMeco Ryans. And I think that if he had to do it all over again, things would have been a little bit different. You can't start Shaq Mason in the divisional game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I know I've never been an NFL head coach, never. So I can't say what DeMeco seen or what DeMeco was being told or however that plays out. But DeMeco, you have the final say so. And if they're telling you, hey, we need to bring Shaq Mason back, and you don't feel like Shaq Mason should be brought back, then that's left on you to say, no, we're not doing that. And the reason I say that is because leading up to that game, the Houston Texans had finally found some continuity on that line. Leading up to that game against the Kansas City Chiefs, they had finally found some continuity on that line that worked. And that's with Laramie Tunsil at left tackle, Titus Howard at left guard, Jared Patterson at center, Juice Scruggs at right guard, and Blake Fisher at right tackle. And going into the game, now listen, Shaq Mason got hurt week 16 against the Chiefs in Kansas City. He got hurt, so he had been out there. He did not. He missed what 4 weeks? Let's see, week 16, 17, 18. He missed the playoff. But no, he had missed 3 weeks. He had missed 3 weeks, and then he was coming back. Right, he was coming back. And I know that there's a saying in sports: you shouldn't lose your job to injury, and I get that. You shouldn't lose your job to injury. But I think that should only apply like at the beginning of the season, early in the season. But that late in the season, bringing him back, knowing that he had missed that amount of time, putting him back in the game, and Shaq did not look good. Shaq, hey, listen, as a person, I think Shaq is an amazing guy. I talk to him all the time. He has some very interesting stories. Well, if you ever get a chance to meet Shaq Mason in person, ask him how he knows the country singer Jelly Roll. That is a very interesting conversation. And how they how they actually stay in the same neighborhood. I'm talking about when he goes back home. Him and Jelly Roll stay in the same community. It's a funny story. I digress. You found some continuity on that line with having Juice Scruggs at right guard. And I know that you were thinking about, okay, so we're going up against a better defensive line against the Kansas City Chiefs. But you don't want to mess with the continuity. You don't want to mess up what this team had built. And when we asked DeMeco Ryans about it after the game, why did he decide to go with Shaq Mason? He said it was his decision, it was his call. He felt like Shaq gave them the best opportunity to win the game over Shaq Mason. Shaq Mason gave them the best opportunity to win over Juice Scruggs. And like I said, I've never been a NFL coach. I just know I do know a lot about football, and I'm saying that I don't think that's the move. Shaq Mason wasn't playing great when he was healthy, and now he's coming off of injury reserve, and you're going to put him out there. And like, ain't no games next week if you lose. There's no other games next week if you lose. So you're trying to play. You're playing to play next week. This is the NFL postseason. This is single game elimination. And I'm not taking any chances on that. If this is what got me here, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm not saying that lineup out there was the best, but it was better than what they had. It was better than what they had been using. And CJ had gotten used to everybody. CJ had gotten used to playing behind that line. I'm not saying that Juice Scruggs was blowing everybody away. I would not say that in the time that Shaq Mason was out, that Juice Scruggs was a top 5 right guard or a top 5 interior offensive lineman in the NFL. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is he had played a whole lot better at that right guard position. So you give him an opportunity to stay there. What you're looking at is, hey, look, we got Shaq back. We're going to put Juice out there, and if Juice struggles, then we'll bring in Shaq Mason. But you put Shaq out there, and you left Shaq out there, and you had to live with the results. But I feel like if you had a do-over, I feel like if DeMeco Ryans had a do-over, I think that's a decision that he would have thought long and hard about, and I think that Juice Scruggs would have started the game over Shaq Mason. That was to me, that was a very, very bad decision. To me, that was something. And look, like I said, it's easy to say it now because it didn't work, right? Steve Kerr, the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, says every time he sees Steph Curry take one of those ridiculous shots that he hits, he said every time he takes it, he's like, oh my God, that's a bad shot. And then he goes in, he's like, man, look, that was the best shot I've seen. That's one of the best shots I've seen. He said when he pulls up from wherever he pulls up, he says, I know he can hit it. I know he can hit the shot. I know he can hit it. And when he hits it, it's great. But when he misses it, when he hits it, it was a great decision to take that shot. When he misses it, it's a bad decision to take that shot. And that's exactly what's going on right here when we go back and we look at Shaq Mason. Shaq Mason, if he'd have played a hell of a game, we'd have been like, damn, DeMeco is one of the smartest coaches in the NFL. He knew exactly what he was doing. But it didn't work out. So now we're sitting there saying, hey, man, or at least Sarge is saying, maybe you shouldn't have started Juice. I mean, maybe you shouldn't have started Shaq Mason. Maybe Juice Scruggs should have been the one that started. That's how I feel about it. So for those of you all who are keeping score at home, I should have said there was going to be a quiz at the end of this, right? I should have said that there was going to be a quiz at the end of this. The 3 things that I feel like that Houston Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans would have done differently if he was given a do-over and during the in the 2024 season would have been: one, fire offensive line head coach Chris Strausser during the season; two, fire offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick during the season; and three, not start Shaq Mason in the divisional round of the playoffs against the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you are subscribed to the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast, all one word, Texans Tailgate Talk podcast, Texans Tailgate Talk on the podcast and on YouTube. And make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure that you are following me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end, because you know we do everything for the gram. Make sure you're tuned in, dialed in to the Texas Tailgate Talk YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe, because minicamp is just right around the corner. We're starting OTAs, and then we're going to look up. There's going to be minicamp. Then we're going to look up, and there's going to be training camp. And where else do you want to get your Texas news besides Big Sarge? That's all I'm saying. That was good. We should get together and do this again. Big Sarge, I'm out.
That was Big Sarge.